Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Toastmasters TV. Tonight we're very privileged to have with us philanthropist and author Gillian Haslam. Gillian has recently been a recipient of the International Mother Teresa Peace Prize, and we're very, very privileged to have her on Toastmasters TV on the 93rd anniversary of her organisation. Let's start by giving her a big round of applause. Gillian, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I must start by saying huge congratulations on winning this very prestigious prize. Can you start by telling us a bit about the prize itself and most importantly, the work you do that won you this prize?
The award, as you can see, is titled the Mother Teresa Memorial International Award for 2017. And it's basically given to somebody who tries to reach out to people in desperate need in as many areas as possible. So when I first received the invitation, I actually called them back and said, I'm grateful, but I'm not a Catholic, so that's what I thought initially. But then they said to me, no, it's not about you being a Catholic, we understand you're a Protestant, but it's only because you try to reach out to so many people. So we have study centers for children, and we have teams that look after the youth, we have food banks for the aged, we have a team looking after the disabled, and we have a huge team looking after women who are in desperate need.
You say we, but you're the driving force behind this. Tell us more specifically about the role you have played in setting up this organisation.
I say we because there is no way on earth I could have accomplished all of this on my own. It is just not humanly possible. So yes, I have 5 teams of people working, boys and girls, who work round the clock, 24/7, and reach out to all these people in India, and that's what we do. So I
say all these people, but what is the reach? Give us the sense of the numbers of people that you're reaching.
Hundreds and hundreds of them. So like I said, there are 5 study centers with just street children, hundreds of them being taught and fed and taken care of, and these are little ones who are basically taken and left at the side of the street, with whose parents basically make the roads or put tar on the roads and stuff like that, and they're left with sometimes just a dry piece of bread all day. So we take them off and we educate them and feed them or whatever, and then we have a team looking after the aged. Some of them are bent in two. They are so severely disabled, and we have these 3 massive food banks where we take care of their food, their rations, things like that. And then my own sister actually helps with the disabled children. Children suffering with autism, with thalassemia, which is a blood cancer, the blind children, and things like that.
What struck me, Gillian, I read your book, Indian English, a memoir, and I must say, audience, if you haven't read it, I recommend it to you. And the lives of the children you're helping very much mirrors your own life.
Yes.
My interest, though, isn't so much the sort of grinding poverty through which you lived, but I'd love to hear about what gave you the resilience. How did you become so resilient and so generous and wanting to help others in the way that you do?
I think when you grow up in those kind of circumstances, either you become passionate and you want to help, or either your past creates you. It's one of the two that has happened. And in my case, I hope my past has created me. I hope that that's the case, because I'm just passionate about helping those people and going back. And I remember growing up with them in those areas, in those slums, with those people. And I know what it is not to have. I know what it is to be poor, and I know what it is not to have a meal, every single day. So I wanted nothing more than to go away, get stronger, get educated, and finally, make enough money to go back and give back to people in desperate need. And am I living my dream? Of course I am.
What a wonderful story. So I was just reflecting on that deep kindness. What would you say to the audience about? Very often people want to help others and they don't quite know what to do. Not everyone can be a Gillian in setting up. But what can we do to help others in such need?
I think there's a lot that anyone can do, and it doesn't necessarily have to be about money. It can be your time, it can be just, sending a card to a poor child, it could be sending a letter to a poor child. They get so excited if they receive anything, a packet of biscuits. When we were tiny, this is very important to me because, I do have to mention this, because when I was little, every Friday we used to queue up at a church near Aslam where we lived, and we used to collect a bag of powdered milk and a packet of biscuits, and sometimes a packet of clothes from the Sisters of Charity every single Friday. And sometimes we would receive that, and sometimes we would be told it's all finished next time. And Mother Teresa used to go on her rounds, and to check out her centers, and one day she was there. So she gave us the packet of biscuits and the bag of milk, and every child got a little pat on the cheek, and okay, next one. And so for today for me to be invited back to be given an award in her name is extra special for me.
So you've actually been touched by a saint, because of course Mother Teresa has never been anybody to a saint, so touched by a saint. So, in addition to being a philanthropist and a writer, you're also a Toastmaster. And of course we have Toastmasters in the audience.
Yes.
Tell us about what you get from Toastmasters that's helped you in your work.
I think where Toastmasters comes into what I do is the speaking. When you run such a huge organization, I have several businesses, very many of them, but I think it's good to have a business, but we should never forget to help people along the way. That's what I believe, because that's the only way you can thrive and grow. And they say, only when you put somebody else before yourself, that's when the magic starts to begin. And that's what I did, just maybe accidentally, but I just started to put people before me, and all of a sudden, things went out of proportion, and all the awards started coming in, and everything else that happened, as you know. But I think where Toastmasters come in is when you have to meet people in business, people in organizations, people in different levels in life. Everywhere you go, you can't just roll out of bed and tell your story. You can't just meet somebody and just tell them, I have a sad story, please help. No, it doesn't work like that. You've got to have skills, and you've got to have so many different skills in order to deliver that message, and in order for them to actually buy your message and say to you after, I want to help. I've had schools, I've left schools where they've sent me £1,000 or £2,000 in the check the next day of speaking. I've been speaking to audiences who've been very resilient. Actually, for the first 15 minutes, I know that there's actually no rapport. But it's those skills that have helped me to change my story, and then before you know it, it's selfie after selfie, and lots of laugh and lots of hugs, and you can basically turn an audience, right around by just knowing and having those skills in your pocket.
Okay, Gillian said to me at the beginning that she'd be happy to take a couple of questions from the audience. So we'll just take 2 questions from the audience before we wrap up. Who's got a question for Gillian? Do I see a hand? Donna.
I would love to start something like that for Iran, because I know there's a lot of people there who really are in need, and there's more and more, and there's very little charities, although there's more happening.
Yeah.
What would you advise me to do first step?
I think from a business perspective, I do a course helping women to set up non-profits, but to set up their businesses and have their businesses fund their non-profits, because till very recently, I have never taken a single donation from anyone. I have funded everything on my own.
Okay.
So, yes, that's one way. But second way, obviously, you're a fellow Toastmaster, so I'd be happy to help you.
How much is your course?
Excellent. We'll be giving details at the end of the meeting. We can take one more question, maybe from this side of the audience. So not a shy. Oh, Philip, thank you.
It's a general question in terms of, do you come across much in terms of bureaucracy or people trying to, liabilities and all that sort of barriers to get in the way of doing what you're doing? Do you find that in India? And that's the first question. And would you say that helps by not having the barriers?
Of course, not having barriers is extremely helpful, but there's no way that you can go through life without barriers and challenges and hurdles. No matter where you look, you find them. Over here we find them a lot. We don't help India and we won't help India, or we'll help British, but not. You go to some audience and they'll say we'll help Indians, and you go to some audiences and they'll say we will help the British, and it just carries on. A person is a person. You mustn't let that affect you in any way. And we get the same thing in India. I got the same thing in Australia. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, it's all about the skills that we learn here that we can put into use and capture the hearts of any audience. That's what I try to do.
I would love to, I could easily speak to you for another hour, but time must go. It's the end of the programme for tonight. See you all again next Monday, same time for Toastmasters TV. Big hand for Miss Gillian Haslam.